Manx Radio Sport.
Good evening and Happy New Year. Welcome to the first Friday Sport preview of 2026 on Manx Radio. I'm Rob Pritchard, and over the next hour we're taking a look ahead to the sporting action on Ireland and further afield this weekend coming up tonight. After Cup action kicked off proceedings in 2026 last weekend, league action returns in earnest in Manx football from tomorrow. We hear from Isle of Man professional golfer Anna Dawson on securing her first full card on the Ladies European Tour for the latest campaign. A busy rugby schedule is on the cards, including Douglas looking to bounce back in Regional 2 Northwest after a tough December. And this weekend sees the 2026 Isle of Man hockey season get underway. That is all to come this evening. Good evening, Happy New Year. Welcome to Friday Sport Preview on Manx Radio for the first time in 2026. Hopefully you've finally been able to shake off the cobwebs from over the festive period and throughout the change of the calendar year. Sport has returned in some format across the island and further afield, and more action on its way this weekend, as well as all the respective teams and athletes settle in, shall we say, into the rhythm of a brand new year. Turning our attention to football first of all this evening, and of course ECAP FA Cup action was in the spotlight last weekend, along with a handful of league fixtures to start off 2026. Now the focus is solely on league action going into this weekend, and of course the return as well, let's not forget, of women's football on the Isle of Man for the first time this year. To go through everything with us is our football correspondent Tony Mepham. And Tony, it was a busy start to the year, always a quick turnaround in Manx football, especially with the ECAP FA Cup on the first weekend of January as well. We had some great fixtures and two great cup draws as well that actually took place after the games took place. Looking ahead to this weekend though, it's all back to league action, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I think clubs just want a steady flow of football now, Rob, because up to the Christmas period it was on off with the weather. We've sort of had the FA Cup, so some teams won't have had games because unfortunately, or fortunately for them, they weren't included in the draw. But this week it's a full league programme. We're looking at pitches, and by the sounds of it, they're in pretty good shape. So as long as nothing comes down tonight, we haven't got any problems. And just everybody wants to start playing football again, Rob. And, I've noticed tonight, and I'm probably going to be the first one to say it on the radio, aren't the nights getting lighter? Because I noticed tonight, I know where I work, I come out, it's usually pitch black. But tonight when I came out, there's a little bit of daylight there. So 15 minutes a week we're supposed to gain, and watch your space, and we'll have night games soon.
Well, indeed, yeah. Very slowly getting there, I think it's fair to say. Looking ahead to this weekend, then, let's take a look at Saturday's league fixtures. Very busy across the four senior men's divisions. In the Canada Life Men's Premier League, 6 fixtures this weekend, and we'll start with the fixture that includes the league leaders going into this weekend. In fact, before that, we'll just give you a bit of context on the table as it stands in the Canada Life Men's Premier League. Top of the table, Corinthians on 33 points after 14 games. Second are Peel on 29 points, so 4 points further back, but only played 12. And then third, St Mary's on 27, but having played 15. And then just 3 points separate Laxey in 4th, Russian United in 5th, and Onken in 6th at the moment. Turning to Corinthians, they've got a trip to Blackberry Lane to negotiate. They're away to Douglas High School Old Boys, who are second from bottom currently and just around 2 points from safety.
Yeah, they are 2 points from safety, and I think Old Boys, let's take note last week, Rob, because I witnessed their performance against Ramsey. I thought it was superb. To play a majority of the game, all the second half and a good chunk, or a little bit of it in the first half, to only have 10 players and come out as winners. It was absolutely incredible. And, when you look at the goal scorers, Zach Watterson got one, Cameron Bruce, got one. But David Wilson, I noticed he got the player of the round and thoroughly deserved it in my eyes, because he was my pick last week out of that game. And a lot of improvement from him, because the last time I saw him earlier on in the season, so it's only about 3 months ago, it was a new name for me, but he stood out last week. And with Martin King and also Drew Ward so strong at the back, then they're going to try and make it difficult for Douglas High School Old Boys. And I think with Corinthians, I think Nathan Little's still here on the island from America, but when you look at Baron Colley and also Stuart Smith, they were immense in the Railway Cup final. But I think it's young players who also are coming in and sort of taking responsibility. Connor Clark, we know how good he is on that right-hand side. But Ryan Nelson, I'm going to pick this one out here, Rob, because it's starting to frustrate me a bit now. Why Ryan Nelson doesn't start for Corinthians. I think he's good enough. Every time I see him, or if he comes off the bench, and okay, I could have this completely wrong, but he is an impact player and causes all sorts of problems, whatever shape and size the defenders are. If they're tall, he can deal with it, and I just feel that he needs to be given a chance. But, Old Boys, cock a hoop at the moment, speaking to one of the players today, and they're very, very confident going into this game. But I think Corinthians will hold it together, and Corinthians will take the points.
And then Corinthians' nearest challengers, Peel, who, as we mentioned, 4 points behind, but with 2 games in hand, they're going to be hosting Union Mills. And Union Mills, Tony, I think we've discussed it beforehand, have blown hot and cold at times. Some good results in there, but 3 wins from their opening 13 up against a Peel team who, despite that narrow loss in the Railway Cup on Boxing Day, their league form has been something to behold recently.
Well, it has. You look at their last league game, I think it was against Corinthians, was it? And they beat them 5-0. So it shows that in the final, it didn't quite happen for them. Yes, they hit the woodwork twice, and probably Peel feel they did enough to get it. I feel that Corinthians did enough to get it. So, it's one of those. But, the disappointment will be gone now, and they'll just move on. Certainly from that final, Rob, I thought Ben Sturgeon, I haven't seen him play before. I thought he was excellent in the final. So it's a new player, possibly from the combination, who looked really comfortable in that left full-back position. When you look at Thomas Brown, we know what a threat he is. He's going to come at you, and he's got pace. He's got all the tricks there for himself, and he can shoot from shoot from distance, and really is a problem for defenders to deal with. But Oscar Bignell put in a good performance. Daniel Bell has been fantastic since he's come back in, and Matthew Wood's there. There's good experience. But Union Mills, they beat Ayr United 4-1, but Ayr are 2 or 3 key players missing at the moment. But take nothing away, Titus Craig's a good player. He's home from America, so if he's still there, that's a threat for them. Tyler Hughes, Owen Quayle solid at the back. Union Mills will try their best, but look at the league table, Rob. They're 4th from bottom. You look at Peel, they're 2nd. You have to go with Peel.
We've mentioned a couple of the title challenges as it stands at the moment. The next fixture here, this, Tony, could be quite a significant battle towards the bottom of the table over at Billygoat Park tomorrow. So Foxdale, a tough season for them so far. The only side in the top flight without a win at the moment, just the 1 point on the board after 10 games. They're going to be hosting Braddon, and Braddon just 2 points above the relegation zone at the moment, Tony. Of course, a long way to go still in the league season. But for both of these sides, could this be a really important game in the grand scheme of things?
I think it's huge, because you look at the bottom 3, Rob. You've got Foxdale played 10 for 1, Old Boys played 12 for 5, and Braddon 13 for 7. It's between those 3. I think Union Mills, Ramsey, St John's, there's not going to be any issues there. So it's a big game. When you look at Foxdale lost to Colby 4-2 in the FA Cup. So, it just shows you maybe where they are. Scoring goals is difficult for them. I know they've got one of the league's best goal scorers in Jay Chatwood in there. Matthew Cubbin's been playing out of his skin at the back for them. But 1 point from 10 games says it all, Rob. And with Braddon, I think it's they know if they want to stay in this league, they need maximum points tomorrow afternoon. And again, when you look at the players there, I think Charlie Knight misses this one out through suspension. But Nick Harvey's been good in front of goal. I believe Liam Sale will get his debut game tomorrow for them. Liam won the combination 1 leading goal scorer last year, so they've got sort of a real top player can score goals in that one, and a good goalkeeper in Alex Haddock. So I think Will Smith will be confident going into this game, but if Foxdale could get it all together and work themselves just to the ground, I think they're going to have to close Braddon down. Then they may get something out of it, but I just can't see it. I think it's Braddon, maximum points.
All right, then, Mulliner Chloe, St John's United versus Ramsey. Now, St John's and Ramsey, 8th and 9th in the table, respectively. Just a point separates. And, Tony, these two sides have only played 11. Only Foxdale have played fewer. So, not just in this game, but going forward, they've still got ground that they could make up, both of these sides, starting this weekend.
Yeah, they could. And I think, St John's are probably the more confident out of the two. I watched Ramsey last week. It was a real struggle for them, I think, against Douglas High School Old Boys. And even when Old Boys went down to 10, I just thought Ramsey will claw themselves back into this game, but they didn't. They looked, sort of down on ideas up front. When you got people like Dylan Pickles and others, you just think to yourself, Matthew Jonesy playing up there, it doesn't fit. Matthew's a midfielder or defender. Graham Kennish again stood out for Ramsey, but Cameron Torn, the right-hand side, got no change out the fullback at all. And when you've got people like Jamie Corlett coming back in, who you know well from FC Isle of Man, playing at the back there, you just think it would sort of be nice and tight, but it wasn't. St John's, you're coming across sort of one of the best partnerships, or not partnerships, there's triple players in there. You've got people like Dean Leese, you've got Rhys Oates, and you've got sort of Callum Taggart. They're three awesome players, and if they can get it together, and Ramsey play like they did last week, I can only see one winner, and that's St John's.
Over at the Niverson Stadium, Onken, who are looking to try and stay in touch with the sharp end of the table, if you like, at the moment, have already impressed, I know you, Tony, this season, and many others as well. They're going to be hosting Ayr United, and Ayr United were the FA Cup defending champions and were dumped out in the preliminary round last week. Yeah,
I think let's have a look at Ayr United first then, because there's massive changes going on there, Rob, because tomorrow Jamie Callister got his red card last week, so he misses this week. There'll be no Sean Kelly because he is in the FC Isle of Man squad. So when you lose those two players, it's going to be really hard. And, you know, Chris Duggan, okay, he's a goal scorer, but he's not getting enough goals and, you know, the ball's not getting put up to him. But then you've got to look at the other side of it. There's a lot of good young players coming through. You got Ben Fox, you got Mark Nixon, who's been there, he's really good. Bed Ramas as well has come from Ramsey. Alfie Scott's come from Ramsey. So it's not panic stations, but it's just them getting used to it. But against Onken, James Crush is back from injury. Carl Presley, Patrick Riley been playing well at the back. Max Shirley's been playing well. And then you've got the three boys up front, Ethan Levers, Tom Creer and Andy Aspridge. I can't see her doing it, and I'm going to go with Onken.
And the final Canada Life Men's Premier League game this weekend is a big one towards the top of the table, if you like, of two teams that have impressed strongly at times throughout this season so far. Laxey are going to be hosting Russian United, 4th versus 5th, Tony, and both of these two are still within, not quite touching distance, but still in the mix with the likes of Corinthians and Peel above them, even if maybe to some it might seem a tall order to catch them at this point. How important is it that both these sides try and get maximum points on the board from the other to try and keep pace?
They'll be trying everything to get the maximum points, and probably Laxey are probably the more disappointed of the two teams, the way it's gone for them of late, and they're out of the FA Cup now as well. But Ed Canner, he can't do any more. He scored again last week, and Eric Hill's in the squad as well. And if you remember, Eric came in last year and scored plenty of goals, so if they can get the ball to him, then it might come that way. I think what's not helped Laxey is defensively. They haven't looked assured. I think Cameron Avery's been missing, so they could do with him back in there. Tom Kenny's been there as well. Tom Smith has been absent, so there's your problem, I think, for Laxey. But with Russian, great result last week, 9-1 against Malou. Aaron Hawley banging form, and you know, I won't say what age he is, but he's a seasoned pro with 4 goals. Lachlan Denham's a good player, he got 2. Jimmy Cadwallader and Matty Lamb with the other goals. But when you look at the other players, Jack Gilbert, Cameron Dudley, they're a really good side, and I think Laxey have just got enough, but it's going to be a tight game.
OK, moving on to Ardern and Drugan Limited Division 2, 5 games this weekend. State of play at the top of the table. Castletown and Colby still battling away the southern rivals at the top. Castletown leading the way on 34 points after 13 games. Colby on 32 points after 13 games. And they are, incidentally, they're 10 points clear of Ramsey Centre and Old Boys in third, their nearest challengers as it stands. So, Tony, of the 5 fixtures there, what do you make of those? And think particularly with an eye on Castletown's trip to Moran and also, Castletown's trip to Moran and also Colby up against, is it St George's?
Yeah, with your permission, I'm going to go to Moran and Castletown if I can, because I think this is a huge game. And we had a good debate last week about where Moran are, because they've only played them 9 games. And I'm looking forward to this one, because Castletown had a great result last time against Douglas Royal, 8-2. Ross Crawford banging form, scoring plenty of goals. Alex Crawley, a strike partner. So there's a problem you've got to try and deal with. Good performance by Thomas Moore, Charlie Quirk and Oliver Lee. But from around, they've got some good players in there as well. And good signing, I think it was last year, Harry Horbury in goal. And then when you look at people like Michael Hughes, who came from Geordie's, Dave Reynolds, who came from Laxey, and then you've got Carl Hartman, Lewis Brew as well. Moran are going to make it really difficult. And if Moran are going to get involved in the title chase, Rob, they need to beat Castletown. So I think it's all to play for, but I think Castletown will just take it.
Yeah, Moran, just for context, down in 5th at the moment on 19 points, so they are 13 points off the pace of the top 2, but they have 4 games in hand on the top 2, so if they were to win all those games in hand, that would put them just a point behind Colby. As it stands at the moment, of course, a lot of football still to be played. For Colby, Tony, heading to a St George's side, of course, a very different situation for St George's this season at the moment, but St George's, it must be said, well clear of the bottom 2, Governors Athletic and Douglas and District, by 10 points, actually.
Yeah, it is, and I looked at the team sheet last week, and My word, there's some Dad's Army in there. Lee Bass. So Lee's played Masters for me about 5 years ago, so gives you a clue where he is. When you look at Julian Ringham, you've got Justin Ringham, you've got Tristan Ringham as well. Nick Bass is in the squad as well, so fair play to St George's, because it's a tough time for them to keep everything going, because the better players, Chris Bass Jr. and Sean Quay, are still kicking about, but if they're not available. But against Colby just need to keep chipping away. The second in the league, they're 2 points behind Castletown. And when you look at, they beat, Foxdale in the Cup, shows that they're a pretty good side. And you can see why, with the likes of Steve Collister, Jordan Edge, Carl Hickey, Seb Spear scoring. I'm going to go with Colby to win.
Elsewhere, taking a look at the other fixtures, you've got Douglas and District versus Maloo, Governors Athletic versus Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, and also Douglas Royal versus Pulrose United.
Douglas and District against Maloo. Maloo, won 5-3 recently against Governors. And again, good team in there. Craig Cowan, Patrick Cooper, Jay Gandy. You look at Adam Pate in there as well, Michael Pardue. Good team. D&D, okay, they lost 5-1 to Pulley. But Ryan Gilbert, another good young player coming through the system. So they've just got to be patient with the process. Richard Cradcliffe can score. Paul Gavin can get involved. So you've got to go with them. When I look at Douglas Royal against Pulrose, you have to go with Pulrose, because the striking power in Owen Canepa, Joe Canepa, Nathan Halsall, Barry English. I think it'll be too strong for Royal. But they do have people like Bailey Ashton, Simon Dooley can score goals, and James Lowy in sticks. Hopefully he'll have a good day.
Looking towards the combination leagues very quickly, Tony, so we'll cast our eye over Canada Life Combination 1. At the top of the table, Corinthians and Ramsey locked together on 28 points. Corinthians ahead by virtue of goal difference, but Ramsey still unbeaten this season, only 2 points behind them, but having played a game more, are Peel in third and Russian United in fourth. So, Tony, take us through the fixtures for Combination 1.
Certainly will. Corinthians against Douglas High School Old Boys. I thought Corinthians were very lucky last week against Ramsey. He got that goal, last kick of the game, and Ramsey looked really good, but Corinthians, very, very young side indeed, so well done to them. And against Old Boys, even though Old Boys have scored plenty of goals in this competition, they find themselves in 9th place, so I'm going to go for Corinthians to win. Union Mills against Peel. Well, Peel have been thumping the goals in, haven't they? And when you look at their goal difference, Rob, plus 46. They're pretty handy, aren't they? And what was it, 16 goals last week against Union Mills? You've got to go, Union Mills, I think it was. You've got to go for Peel. Braddon against Foxdale, I'll go with Braddon to take the win in that one. Ramsey against St John's. This could be close, because St John's have made a new signing this week, and I won't mention him because he said give us a mention. Well, let's just see what you can do, because he's become a work colleague of mine, and we'll see how he performs. But Ramsey, I thought, did well last week, and should have maybe nicked it. Ayr United against Onken. I think Ayr struggling for players a little bit at the moment, go with Onken. And Russian United against Laxey, I'll go with Russian.
And our Dirt and Drug Limited Combination 2, 6 games there, Tony. Take us through those with, I suppose, one that stands out in particular. First versus second, Pulrose United, top of the table, 14 wins from 14. Just this flawless record continues up against Douglas Athletic in second.
Yeah, well, Douglas Athletic got beat last week, didn't they, by Colby, so that's pegged them back a little bit, and I think Pulrose, the manager and the players, will be really looking forward to this one, because this is an amazing run that they've gone through. And I keep saying it, I'm going to say it again, when you look at it, only a few years ago they didn't have a combination side. Absolute credit to the club, credit to the players, but I think you've got to go for Pulrose to win that. Jims against Douglas Royal. Depends on what squad Jims have got out, but I'd go with Jims just. Maloo against Douglas and District. I'll go for Maloo to win. Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys against Governors Athletic. I'm going to go for Youth Centre to take the 3 points. Castletown against Moran. I think Moran just got a little bit too much experience for Castletown, so I'll go with Moran. And Colby against Michael, as Colby have shown a really strong outfit, and Colby to win.
So those are all Saturday's games, all kicking off at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Quick look towards Sunday. The first women's football action of 2026 gets underway on Sunday. 2 more games in the Canada Life Women's Floodlit Cup. The first of those, Tony, is a Southern Derby, Maloo versus Russian United. Yeah, it is, and apologies last week. We just had to make a call, Rob, with the weather, and there's no chance of taking the risk the way the roads were, so that's why we postponed both games. But Maloo against Russian improving all the time. Maloo, I know, are 1 or 2 players down, so we'll wait and see what the team sheets are like for Sunday. But I'm going to go for Maloo, just maybe to sneak it. And when you look at the other one, Peel against Union Mills, well,
Peel at the moment are in the driving seat for the league, and they're looking very, very good in the Women's Flitwick Cup as well. So Union Mills, again, improving, looking for new players. So if you're interested, give them a call, but you've got to go with Peel.
Yeah, indeed. Peel, they could go 3 points clear at the top of the Canada Life Women's Floodlit Cup standings with a win on Sunday. Union Mills still searching for their first win in all competitions this season after rejoining the Women's League this campaign. And as Tony's mentioned there, Union Mills, they are on the hunt for more players to get in touch, new or experienced. And finally, Tony, in the Masters football, we have 4 fixtures on Sunday.
We do. We're just getting a couple of extra ones on because we lost them last week, but there's some real humdingers in there. Colby against St Mary's. St Mary's, very strong team. So have Colby. I'm going to go for St Mary's just to sneak it. Corinthians against Douglas and District. Probably at the same level. So let's go for a draw. Peel against Union Mills. I think Union Mills... deep down, fancy the chances on winning this league, but they're going to have to beat Peel to do it, and I think they will on Sunday. And Laxey against Douglas High School Old Boys. Old Boys are another side that are looking very, very strong indeed, and against the Laxey side that if they do have their best players playing, we'll certainly give it a go. But I just think Old Boys squad that they've got out of a few of the players playing, it's looking pretty strong. So I've got to go with Old Boys to win.
And just finally, very quickly, Tony, got around 30 seconds here, but Sunday in particular, we are expecting a little bit more adverse weather to be making its way back to the island. Should it affect the fixtures in any way, when will that information be communicated?
We'll get the information out as quick as possible, but last week we made the decision about 10 o'clock, just when that snowfall came. We tried to give it as much chance as we can, but certainly with wind and weather and the rain, it's a little bit different. With snow, you can't see anything, but we got in touch with the Cubs within 10 minutes, and hopefully that was acceptable.
Tony, thank you very much indeed.
Manx Radio Sport.
Turning to golf, and 2026 will mark season 3 for Manx competitor Anna Dawson at professional level, and this year she secured an exciting step forward in her career. Late last month, the former Peel player managed a top 20 finish at Ladies European Tour Qualifying School, or Q School for short, which earned Dawson her first ever full card on the tour for the forthcoming season. Well, since turning pro in 2023, the 25-year-old has already featured sporadically on the tour and predominantly took part in the LET Access Series last year with 4 top 10 finishes in that particular series. Well, Anna has been speaking with us at Manx Radio this week and told us how it feels to be a full-time tour player for 2026 and what objectives, if any, she has for the year to come.
Oh, it's just been amazing. Even now, the excitement hasn't worn off. Obviously, it's not too long until I get going for this season. And it's been great to just have the last couple of weeks at home with a bunch of friends and family and just kind of get to reflect on it and enjoy it, not have to jump into getting started too quickly. And yeah, just have a little moment to reflect and just appreciate finally achieving a goal that I've had since I first took it up at about 9 years old.
Of course, you've been in the professional game now for a couple of years, but Q School out in Morocco, it was your good result there that managed to secure that. What went right, do you think, at Q School this year that meant you got to this next level?
I've had a couple of reflections leading into Q School this year that I had on when I went the year before. Obviously, I've been a few times now, but mainly on the year before, I took my boyfriend who plays professionally as well. And we decided, you know what, let's do it properly. I'll get a proper caddy. I'm going to go on my own. I'm not going to go out too early. I think in the past, I've always felt like I had to do loads of prep just because the weather's not great on the island. But I went, let's kind of treat it a bit more like a normal tournament. So got out there about 4 days before, had a caddy, did it by myself, and just went out with the process of kind of let's just get on with it and get it done and not make it into a bigger thing than what it needs to be. And yeah, it looks like it all worked out pretty good.
You've only been involved in the professional game in the grand scheme of things for a few years compared to maybe some experienced heads in there. But, for you personally going forward, how big a step forward could this be in your pro career in golf?
Yeah, obviously it's massive. With getting the full card, you give yourself a security of getting the full year at it. Before, when I've had partial status, you're always kind of needing a good week or relying on something or hoping the entry list gets down so you get in, whereas this is the first time since I've turned professional I can actually sit down and plan a schedule and know where I'm going to be at and what I'm going to play, and that alone makes a massive difference. So obviously just getting to have a full go at it, hoping I'll get just over 20 tournaments this year, is just really exciting and just gives you a lot of opportunities to do something with.
A bit of context for those who don't know, this certainly won't be your first appearances on the European Tour. You've had appearances throughout the last couple of seasons, albeit this will be the kind of first full-time set of fixtures you'll have on it as well. What are the biggest things you've learned so far, particularly on the Ladies European Tour events, about what it takes to not just perform at certain events, but try and be consistent at that level?
I think a lot of it is just managing yourself. Obviously, when you go from playing amateur to playing on tour, it's a lot more travel and just a lot of other things that go into it. And obviously, I've had a little bit of experience in that now, so hopefully I can just kind of maximise on that and draw from all of those experiences this year and just make the most of it. I mean, there's bits with like getting a caddy when it suits, when it doesn't, and making sure you travel with other people just to, keep it fun and still enjoy it off the course. You don't want it to consume you. So hopefully all these experiences are going to be really helpful for me this year.
From what you've just said there to my next question about the enjoyment side of it, because yes, you're competitive, you want to win and want to do well, that is a given. But the idea of, trying to fall in love with playing and, be able to enjoy the reason why you got into it in the first place, how important is that going to be for the season ahead?
It's huge. It's something me and my psychologist have spoken about the whole time since I've been pro. Like, you have to enjoy it. It's why you started playing. And I think, kind of remembering why you started playing and playing almost a bit like you're a kid out there and just enjoying it is so beneficial because, then you're just out there to have fun. And I mean, anyone who plays any kind of sport knows that more often or not, you play your best when you go out and you're just with your friends and you're not thinking too much about it. I think when you overcomplicate it and you take the enjoyment away is when, you actually see the results go down as well. So it is such a balance of trying to get everything together of the enjoyment and obviously while still focusing and trying to compete to your highest level. So yeah, hopefully got a lot of new countries I'll get a tick off this year and meet a bunch of new people and yeah, just try and have a lot of fun with it.
Looking forward then to the season to come. I mean, do you have any particular objectives in mind or are you just taking it as it comes?
Obviously I have a few personal goals, but I think just the main thing is just as I've tried to do the last couple of years, just keep improving every week and just keep always trying to get better. And I think so far every year I've been a pro, I've gotten better and, if I can do the same again this year, like I'll be happy with that ultimately. And I'm sure there'll be some good weeks in and amongst it all if I keep improving. So yeah, just keep following along those lines.
That's Alabama professional golfer Anna Dawson, who has secured her first full card on the Ladies European Tour for the 2026 campaign after making her pro debut back in 2023. Looking at rugby next and also previewing what's going to come for the 2026 Alabama hockey season. Don't go away.
Manx Radio Sport.
Welcome back to Friday Sport Preview on Manx Radio. The time has just gone 4 minutes past 6. We're going to turn our attention to rugby. And of course we were last weekend due to get our first Manx rugby action of 2026. But Ramsey and Vagabonds had both of their respective plans scuppered by the weather due to travel off island. Well, they're due to be back in action this weekend. Take two if you like. And they are going to be two of no fewer than 6 island teams that are due to be in action this weekend, either on Manx shores or further afield. So plenty to get through this evening. And with us as always is our rugby correspondent Dave Christian. Dave, first of all, a very happy new year, and secondly, looking ahead to this weekend. Let's dive straight into it, I guess, because, well, we've got a very busy schedule, plenty to get through, and turning our attention first to Douglas in Regional 2 Northwest, and after what's been a sensational start to the season for Phil Kringle and his team, it was a December to forget largely, 3 straight defeats, and the last of those to end 2025 was against bottom of the table Altrincham Kersal, incidentally Altringham's first win of the season. So, Dave, before we look at the fixture this weekend, from Douglas's side of things, not the best of Decembers, I think it's fair to say, but I imagine still, correct me if I'm wrong, that the outlook is still pretty good. They're still right toward the sharp end.
Yeah, there wasn't much to smile about in Santa's sack for Douglas this year. As you said, 3 straight defeats. At the end of November, the last weekend in November, they were top of the table with a game in hand, and that's crumbled away now. They're 4th place. They still have the game in hand, but even with maximum points from that game in hand, they're not going to get any higher than 3rd. So things have crumbled away, or landslipped away rather than crumbled. It's been disappointing. There's there's nothing concrete that Phil Kringle's been able to put his finger on, but he has indicated to me at least that the defeats have been everything going well till the last 10 minutes and then the wheels come off the wagon. So that could be mental, it could be a fitness issue, lapses of concentration, thinking we're home and hosed. And that was a story from the first defeat of the season, which was the away game at Sandbach, when Sandbach were down with 10 to play and came back to steal it in the end and claim a bonus point. So it's not the first time that Douglas have, I'm not going to say crumbled in the last 10 because that doesn't sound quite right. That isn't what this Douglas team's about. And you don't get to be top of the table by the end of November by crumbling in the last 10. But from the reports that Phil's given me over the season so far, they've definitely had a problem towards the end of a game. And that's something no doubt they'll have been working on in training, and they'll want to get back on track pretty quickly. They've got Burnage tomorrow at Portishead. Burnage, coincidentally, are the team that are that game in hand. That's going to be away at Burnage on the all-weather surface at the 24th of January, going off from memory now, which isn't good at the best of times. But it's the end of this month. They play Burnage twice in January, and that'll be the one that sorts them out, I think, the away game at Burnage. Sandbach, they've played twice at the top of the table. North Ribblesdale, they have to go to North Rib, and North Rib are second, I think, at the moment. First, North Rib are first. Correct me, thank you there, Rob.
Yeah, so North Ribblesdale top on 52 points, Sandbach on 50, both after 13 games.
Yeah, North Rib away is Douglas's final game of the season, and that could be a huge game. But there's a lot of water to cross before we get there. But those three defeats in December have really cost Douglas.
Yeah, and just coming back to just Douglas very quickly before we move on as well, just a bit of a context again, some numbers on what David's been saying. They mentioned North Ribblesdale top, 52 points, Sandbach on 50 in second, Vale of Lune now up into third on 47, Douglas in fourth on 42 but having played 12, so that game in hand, and then both Widnes and Burnage behind in fifth and sixth on 38 as well. And Douglas still with the joint best defensive record this season, Dave.
Yeah, and that tells you a lot about the side and what they're capable of. They're really good covering their own line, and you don't get to this stage of the season with a defensive record like that on paper without being a contender. So Douglas are genuinely in there. The players have got to believe that and really start putting themselves out to climb up. I've just had a quick look at the team sheet for tomorrow. No doubt you'll cover that in some detail, but the name that's missing there is probably one of the first names on the team sheet, the scrum half Nathan Robson. No idea why Nathan's missing. It could be a family holiday. It's round about Christmas time or not long afterwards, but it's unlikely that he's picked up a knock. Douglas haven't played since the third week in December, so I'll make some inquiries tomorrow, see if I can find out from Phil Kringle, the coach, why that's happened. But other than that, they're looking strong. The big guns arrested. Liam Kirkpatrick back in the side. That's going to be massive for them. Simon Hodder not in the front row. It's all set up to be a belter for Douglas with a home crowd as well.
Indeed, so Douglas taking on Burnage tomorrow, Portishead. So here is your Douglas starting 15 as follows, numbers 1 to 15 in the following order. Simon Hoddenott, Josh Campbell, Owen Carvin, Harry Cartwright, Captain Blake Snell, John Dutnall, Blake Everson, Liam Kirkpatrick, Harry Wallace, Matty Wood, Zach Wickman, Josh Duncan, Harry Hewson, Ollie Corkish and Carl Martin, and three substitutes for Phil Kringle's side. They are Connor Garland, Ian Larson and Jack Wallace. Turning to Counties 3, ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire, and as I mentioned a moment ago, Ramsey and Vagabonds were due to get 2026 underway last weekend, but travel disruption caused by poor weather put paid to that. They've now got respective ties, Ramsey on home soil this weekend against Hoylake, and Vagabonds on their travels at Ormskirk, Dave.
Yeah, these four teams that are going to be in action, that including Ormskirk and Hoylake, of course, they're all likely to be in the lower half of the league when the split occurs. Remember, this league has 14 teams in it. It's going to split into two leagues of 7 after the end of January. So all four are likely to be in the bottom part. And this game, or both games, well, should be all four teams trying to sort of jockey for position. It seems unlikely, I guess, based on Ramsey's results so far, that they're going to be challenging at the top end of this lower league. Hoylake maybe got a sporting chance. Vagabonds not too far above Ramsey. It's going to require a lot of hard work between now and the end of the season if they're going to feature in the trophy area of the table. But tomorrow's games, well, Ramsey will be looking at Hoylake with a prospect of points. Vagabonds played them away, managed a draw over there on the Wirral, And Ramsey will have looked at that game, looked at the draw they had against Vagabonds at the Mirrock Park, and think, if Hoylake aren't travelling with full strength 15, we've got a chance here. And for that reason, we'll be covering that game on Saturday Live tomorrow for the Mirrock Park. Kick-off is at 2:15. Vagabonds and Ormskirk, different kettle of fish altogether. Ormskirk, always a tricky place to go and play. But they're a nice bunch of gentlemen. I've been with them on occasion over the years, and everything tickety-boo about the club. So it's a nice place to visit, but on the pitch they can't expect too much in the way of favours. No team news from Vagabonds as yet. There is from Ramsey, though. There are two key players probably that I'm going to say are missing. Adam Dunlop not in the lineup, and neither is Matthew Meakin. Not sure on Adam, but I know Matthew Meakin's away skiing. He's not back until tomorrow night, I don't think, so he definitely wasn't available. Other than that, the team's pretty good. It's as strong as it's going to be. Rory Nicholson there in the front row, that's going to help them out a great deal. Backline looking threatening. We've got another change though in the centres, and I don't like the way the centres keep changing, but Brendan Atchison is going to pair up with Jake Richmond this week with Nathan Brew on the bench. But Ramsey have got a good strong team. They'll fancy their chances at the Mirrock Park, and kick-off there is at 2:15.
Just to add on to what Dave was saying there, getting a bit of context in the table. Vagabonds currently 13th out of the 14 sides in Counties to ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire. Ramsey, the only team below them, propping up the table at the moment. So Vagabonds, the one win from their opening 10 games so far, 2 draws and 7 defeats. 3 bonus points in the bag for Vagabonds as well. Ramsey at the bottom, the only side yet to win this season, just the one draw so far, that rare goalless draw against Vagabonds in late November as well. 9 defeats, although Ramsey do have 3 bonus points of their own on the board as well. As Dave has quite rightly pointed out, we don't have any team news yet from Vagabonds, but we do from Ramsey, so I'll give you the starting 15 for Ramsey to take on Hoylake at Morag Park tomorrow. Numbers 1 to 15 in order are as follows. It's Rory Nicholson, Ben Hardman, Miall Flynn, Captain Josh Catine, Jacob Catine, Joe Flanagan, Harvey Collister, Kieran Neal, Dan Kelly, Tom Moffat, Will Millsop, Brandon Atchison, Jake Richmond, Braden Roche and Luke Ward. There are 3 substitutes available for Ramsey. They are Connor Cracknell, Nathan Brew and Scott Neal. And for the first time in 2026, Vagabonds ladies will be in action in women's NC2 North-South, and it's a first encounter for them with Macclesfield, and they're heading across the water for this one this weekend, Dave.
Yeah, it's always tricky when you have to travel away from home. It's always tricky when you have to travel across the water as well. It requires a significant buy-in from the players, and your results will depend really on the side you can take away. If you want to be promoted, you're going to win your aways as well as your homes. That's always been tricky. Vagabonds ladies, far from saying that they have a lack of commitment, quite the opposite. They have an over-exuberance of commitment, but sometimes they're not always able to get the strongest teams away. They've gone all right this season. They've lost a couple that maybe they should have won. Winnington Park at the moment, top of the table. I watched Vagabonds versus Winnington Park at Ballafletcher, and I couldn't help feeling that Winnington Park were very, very lucky to come away with a win there. They raced into a 21-0 lead, and Vaggers gradually pegged them back. They were within 4 points at one stage, and you thought, this is going to go Vaggers' way. And Winnington Park had one player who was outstandingly fast. The ball was cuffed over to her inside her own 22, and she went the full length of the pitch to score. It's going to be a tricky one. I suspect we're not going to see Vagabonds points. I've had a quick look at the team sheet. They're missing a couple of the big players too. But they do have the veteran Corinna Daly coming back in the back row. She knows what it's about on a rugby pitch, and assuming her knees can cope with the pressure, she should do very, very well.
And your Vagabonds starting 15 to face Macclesfield tomorrow in women's NC2 North-South is as follows. So numbers 1 to 15 in order are Becca Hicks, Sharon McCarrick, Maisie Murray, Georgie Quayle, Iona Lee, Corinna Daly, Greba Tazier, Freya Crow, Sammy Mack, Lauren Ellison, Leona McGovern, Becky Dunn, Holly Shea, Holly Scott and Rosina McNair. And the 2 substitutes available for Vagabonds ladies, they are Jacinta Tazier and Gabby Oliveira. And actually, before we move on again, just to add a bit of context to what Dave's saying going into the weekend, Vagabonds ladies, 4th in women's NC2 North-South with 3 wins from their opening 5 games so far. 2 points behind Macclesfield, just above them, who, of course, they visit this weekend in 3rd and currently running away at the moment with 6 wins from 6, both Winnington Park and Sale FC 1861 second team as well. Winnington Park just slightly ahead there of the two sides. Finally, this weekend, it's a return of the Hertford Homes Manx Shield. It's first versus second in that competition, Dave, as Douglas Celts face Western Vikings at Portachee.
I think probably the first thing about this game is to say there's been a slight alteration to the kick-off time. This one's going to kick off at 1:30 at Portachee, and I have a feeling we had it down for 2 o'clock. But yeah, change. It's only come through today. 1:30 kick-off for this one. The Celts are running away with the Manx Shield. They are, I think, 13 points clear. The first round of 4 matches each have been played. This is the start of the second round. The surprise here is that the Celts have beaten Southern Nomads. Southern Nomads should, in my view, be the form team here. They're not. They've struggled a bit this season, and in fact, Western Vikings beat them down at the QE2, I think it was. So things have been a little bit tricky for Nomads this season, which has meant that the Douglas Celts, they've got a great mix of youth and experience. They've got some of the younger players coming through, a couple of fringe players from the first team, and then there's a couple of old veterans in there. I see Noel Capewell still gets a trot out every now and again. Mark Shortland at scrum half, hugely experienced, knows what he's doing, but perhaps doesn't have as much longevity in a game as he used to when he was younger. But with a mix of players like that, you've got the old guys passing on the experience to the younger guys, plus the fringe players busting themselves to try and make themselves look more attractive to the coaching staff. It's a great mix for a team, and I watched them play. Everybody's playing with a smile on their face as well, so fair play to Douglas Celts, leading the way in the domestic competition, and I suspect they're going to pick up points tomorrow.
And just very quickly, got around 30 seconds. When it comes to the other teams in behind them, the likes of Western Vikings and Southern Nomads, where can they maybe claw back some ground down the line, if indeed Douglas Celts do have this, in some ways, unassailable lead at the top of the standings? Yeah,
it's going to be difficult. The Celts have got too much, I think, in the way of resources. Nobody's going to upset them. We'll have to wait and see how things, I think, pan out next season. We can pretty much give them the Hertford Homes Manx Shield at this stage, I would think. Well, I suspect Southern Nomads and Western Vikings will have a bit of a disagreement with me just yet, but they look to be home and hosed. Next season, we'll hope that we'd see Southern Nomads a little bit stronger, and perhaps maybe Ramsey get a second team in as well, and that would really help with the league.
Dave, thank you very much indeed. And of course, you can find out all the latest details of those upcoming rugby ties, both on Ireland and off Ireland this weekend, over at manxradio.com. Coming up next, we're going to be taking a look at the start of the 2026 Isle of Man hockey season. The senior men's and women's leagues returning from tomorrow with a packed schedule on the cards. More to come.
Manx Radio Sport.
21 minutes past 6 here on Friday Sport Preview on Manx Radio, and finally this evening we're taking a look at hockey, and this weekend marks the start of the 2026 Isle of Man hockey season, and specifically game week 1 of the new men's and women's campaigns. A packed set of fixtures is planned during Saturday across the 3 men's leagues and 3 women's leagues, along with the continuation of the mixed under-15s league after a break over the festive period. Plenty of defending champions will be out to make their mark, along with several sides who want to make a good first impression against different opposition after earning promotions. Well, to take a look through what's in store, I've been speaking this week with our hockey correspondent, Ben Cunningham. So it's upon us, the 2026 Isle of Man hockey season this weekend, the opening fixtures of this year's men's and women's senior leagues, and the continuation of the mixed under-15s league from the previous few months. It ran during the mixed and indoor season as well. So joining us ahead of the season opener, if you like, is our hockey correspondent, Ben Cunningham. So Ben, first of all, I think it's fair to say that if the mixed and indoor leagues that we had between September and December are anything to go by, we could be in for a real treat this year, couldn't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Rob. Like you say, if the mixed leagues and the indoor leagues are anything to go by, this could be an absolute cracker of a men's and ladies season, and I think it will be.
And just looking as well, but before we get into the fixtures specifically as well, it's great to see, and I know we comment on this all the time, but it's great to still see in hockey as well just how healthy all the respective divisions are looking. The 3 men's leagues, the 3 women's leagues, and the mixed under-15s league. Plenty of teams to contest this year.
Absolutely. It's great to see so many teams from all clubs around the island, and it's going to make a great contest for every division. And of course, We have the 5:05 fixture back at King William's College, which just proves we just need that extra slot to get all the fixtures in every weekend.
Yeah, there was that change, wasn't there, last year, where we had an evening fixture at King Bills, and I believe that the season before as well, we did have an early fixture at Ramsey as well. It has changed around a little bit, but we do have a full programme of fixtures as it stands going into the weekend. So let's take a look at what we've got in store. We'll start in the Men's Premier League, 3 games all pushing back at 2:05. We'll start with an interclub derby over at the NSC. Could be an interesting start for Vikings as a club, because Vikings B are taking on Vikings A.
Yeah, and of course, Vikings B were promoted up to the Premier League from Division 1 last year, winning that on the final day of the season. So, big test for Vikings B against their A team, who will want to definitely get off to a winning start, because they'll be wanting to get their eyes firmly set on that prize at the end of the season with the trophy.
Indeed, and out at QE2, Valkyries A, whose men's side had a decent campaign last time around. They're going up against Harlequins A, Ben.
This one, I think, could be a very close game. 2 very evenly matched sides. Of course, Harlequins had a really good campaign last season. Valkyries had a mixed bag of a campaign last season, but the way their mixed season went, things looked really good there and really promising. I think that one, I'm going to sit on the fence on that one.
Yeah, Harlequins A have really started to establish themselves in the men's top flight in the last couple of seasons. And elsewhere, the defending champions, Backers A, they're going to be coming up against Castletown A at King William's College.
Yeah, and Backers A, if their mixed season's anything to go by, I wonder how their men's and ladies teams are all going to perform this season, because they were absolutely ruthless in the mixed leagues, and I'm sure they're going to look really strong going into the men's and ladies leagues. Castletown, though, they had a great campaign as well. Let's not forget that as well. But I think Backers A will come out on top on that one.
Yeah, just for some context, Backers' mixed team in the mixed season just gone between September and December won all 13 games across all competitions in the outdoor leagues, an extraordinary record. Turning to the Ladies Premier League, 3 games all pushing back at 12:35pm at the NSC. Vikings A, who will be looking to maybe just to try and claw themselves back into contention at the top of the table after a bit of a topsy-turvy campaign last time out, are up against Castletown B, who were Women's Division 1 champions last year.
Absolutely. So Castletown Ladies B, they'll have a tough first game of the season against Vikings A, who will definitely, like you say, Rob, want to make amends from last season's performance. I'm going to go for a Vikings A win on this one, but Castletown, who knows, they might cause a surprise.
We'll have to wait and see. At QE2, Harlequins A are going to be up against Valkyries A. Tough test for Harlequins.
Tough test, but the Harlequins Ladies A side did have a good campaign last season, and they were mixing in with a few of the higher teams. Valkyries A ladies, though, they had a great campaign last season. I'm sure they'll want to continue that this season. I think Valkyries A might just get this one, though.
And at King William's College at 12:35, the defending Ladies Premier League champions Castletown A are up against Backers A.
And of course, this was the final of the Ladies Cup last year. So, first game of the season, and these two meet again. It was a thriller in the cup, and I'm sure it's going to be exactly the same this season as well. Castletown Ladies A, though, I'm sure they'll want to retain that title. Castletown Ladies A win.
Indeed, well, and I remember last season, actually the only team to take points off Castletown A in the Ladies Premier League season last time around was Backers A right at the end of the campaign, so it could be a little closer than maybe some think. Okay, quickly, let's take a look through the other senior divisions. We've got 3 games in Men's Division 1 then.
The first one is at 2:05, and that's Ramsey A against Castletown B at Ramsey Grammar School. I'm going to go for a Ramsey A win on that one. 3:35, we've got a Western Derby between Valkyries C, promoted from Division 2 into Division 1, against Valkyries B. I'm going to go for a Valkyries B win there. That's at QE2. And at 3:35, Backers B against Harlequins B at Castle Rushen High School. I'm going to go for a Backers B win on that one.
And Ladies Division 1, 3 games there, 2 of which are early pushbacks at 11:05.
Yeah, first one at 11:05 is Vikings B against Backers B at the NSC. I'm going to go for a Backers B win on that one. Again at 11:05, you've got Valkyries B against Castletown C. I'm going to go for a Valkyries B win there. That's at Castle Rushen High School. And at 3:35, you've got Backers C, who were the champions of Ladies Division 2 last season, against Ramsey A at the NSC at 3:35. I'm going to go for a Ramsey A win on that one.
And over to the respective Division 2, starting with Men's Division 2. 3 games also there this weekend, including a Backers Interclub derby.
Absolutely, and the first game sees a newly formed side, which is Harlequins C, in Men's Division 2, coming up against Vikings C at Ramsey Grammar School. Be interesting to see how Harlequins C manage in this Men's Division 2 league against Vikings C and the rest of the teams in this division. At 2:05, you've got Castletown C against Ramsey B. Ramsey B are back in the Men's Division 2 league. Ramsey able to now field both 2 men's teams this season, which is great for Ramsey. That's at Castle Rushen High School at 2:05. And then, as you say, Rob, at 3:35, the interclub derby between Backers C and Backers Colts is at King William's College.
And then finally, last but certainly not least, in the senior divisions, Ladies Division 2. Now, this is one of the changes for this season because it is a smaller league this season, and there's just the 2 fixtures to open up things this weekend.
And they are at 12:35, Ramsey B against Castletown D at Castle Rushen High School. That could be a really close game. I think I'm going to sit on the fence on that one. And then the 5:05 evening kickoff is between Vikings C and Harlequins B at King William's College. I'm going to go for a Harlequins B win on that one.
And there are 2 games in the mixed under-15s league at 11:05 at QE2 on Saturday, Valkyries versus Harlequins, and then a late pushback 3:35 at Ramsey Grammar School, Vikings versus Ramsey Rogues and Rascals. But so Ben, those are the fixtures for the weekend, but of course a big season to come. And once again, we've got a busy cup schedule as well, haven't we?
Absolutely. So we will have the ladies' cup, plate and bowl. We'll also have the men's cup, plate and bowl as well, all up for grabs. We haven't quite got the draws ready to be done, but as soon as the draws are ready to be done, we will get the draw done on Manx Radio here.
That was our hockey correspondent Ben Cunningham looking ahead to this weekend's opening fixtures of the 2026 Isle of Man hockey season. Full details of those on our website. Well, that's just about all we have time for on Friday Sport Preview this week. Many thanks to my guest this week. As always, if you want to catch up with anything that you may have missed on the show tonight, it will be available as a podcast later this evening. All that remains to be said is have a wonderful Friday evening and a wonderful weekend as well. Until next time, bye for now.
Manx Radio Sport.